Peace and love, peace and love. My name is Henry Thomas. I'm the author of Think Beyond Your Surface, nonfiction memoir, a product of my own environment, nonfiction autobiography about my life from a small boy to a man, being raised up in Chicago, Illinois, West North Sides, where I went wrong at in life and how I was able to shape my identity, right? And I also have The Ghetto Trying to Kill Me, Overcoming Black Mental Health. My first independent book right here. This is my new channel, my first video. This channel is about, I'm going to be sharing spiritual discernment. See, everybody got discernment, but everybody ain't got spiritual discernment. I developed spiritual discernment. I'm going to be sharing the type of discernment, me overcoming the streets and overcoming prison. Going against all the negative forces that was built to tear me down. But this video, I'm going to tell y'all a little bit about me. From Chicago, Illinois, West Side, Chicago native. All my life, I've been a disturbed child, a bad kid, a little hellion, raised up in the projects and all the projects in Chicago, Cabrini Green, Henry Horner homes, Robert Teller homes, Icky homes, Ida B. Wells, throughout the city. I was a bad kid in school, never did get good in school, was always, when it came to authority outside of my household, I had no respect for it. I was raised in a household with both my parents, 4 other siblings, me being the youngest. My father he was a good father. He was a good father, but my mother told me he was a bad husband, but he was a good father. My father was a street dude. He was a known street dude, big gang ties. He was the chief on the west side of Chicago off 16th for Lawndale. They called him Hondo, Hen Skin. He was a known killer. So I'm not going to sugarcoat it, My pops was a known killer. I come from the background of my family, big gang ties. I come from a family of alcoholics, drug users, killers, players, pimps. This is the type of background that surrounded my environment. So naturally, I was born in the streets. I was born in the heroin epidemic era. So I seen a lot, that children shouldn't see or hear. And I experienced the crack era also, right? So those are 2 eras that affected my life. But my father was a street dude. My mother, always worked in the healthcare industry. Rest in peace to my mom. I lost her last year. Rest in peace to my pops. He got a hold to some bad drugs. He had a substance abuse problem off and on. He got a hold to some bad drugs and some fentanyl and it stopped his heart. You know what I'm saying? At 64 years old, very young. My mother was 72 when she passed away last year. But before I was 6 years old, I lost 3 uncles to gun violence. 2 of my uncles was shot down in the street. And my other uncle was pushed in front of an L train, the Green Line on the west side of Chicago, right? So I lost 3 uncles at a very young age, right? That I had an attachment to. I lost many friends in the street. I can't count how many funerals I've been to. I lost count to how many friends I lost to the prison system and in the streets. All my friends that killed people in the street, they was drunk or high off weed, right? high and drunk off weed and whatever type of, drugs that was used back in the day, right? So when my friends killed people, they was either drunk or high. When my friends got killed in the street, they was either drunk or high. When my friends got arrested by the police, they was drunk or high. You understand what I'm saying? So I come from a community where alcohol and drugs was a culture, So, my family, I lost plenty cousins, I lost plenty cousins to cirrhosis of the liver, being on dialysis. I lost plenty of cousins, from bad health. I lost my grandmother due to alcohol, complications. My grandfather due to alcohol complications. You understand what I'm saying? I got a cousin right now doing 20 years in prison for vehicular homicide. You understand what I'm saying? I've been to prison. I served 12 years in prison for weapons charges and unarmed robberies and, robberies. And I was in prison thinking I was never going to get out because I had 2 homicide cases pending against me under investigation with an armed robbery case. An armed robbery case that I had nothing to do. I had nothing to do with. And this is what happens when you are in the streets. When you are a hot boy, people going to point the finger at you. Ain't no love in the streets, right? One of my guys just got out of prison doing 30 years for 2 bank robberies. He been gone since 1994. He's just now getting released. So I got a lot of friends in prison doing life without parole. I got friends that's on a 20-year bid. Just got out doing 30 years. Doing life without parole. Life sentences for murders and, robberies. And this was the environment, being a product of our environment, and this is how I come up with this book right here. So that's just a little bit of background about me. I grew up on survival. I grew up very young to adulthood to suppress my emotions. And so, it took a process for me to learn how to express myself. And I found out writing was very therapeutic for me to express myself. So yeah, my name is Henry Thomas. Just a short note, I got a story to tell. I have 4 books available online, but I do it out of love to help other people understand that there are other ways to handle situations. Every situation ain't got to be handled with violence or with a pistol in your hand. You understand what I'm saying? Or deceiving someone or tricking someone. It's other ways around making better decisions. I have a story to tell. Like and subscribe my page. This is my first video. I have a lot of interesting experiences to share with y'all. I can't do this without y'all. So like and subscribe my channel. I'm going to be sharing some of my most personal experiences and some of my, my dark moments and some of my best moments. You understand what I'm saying? I'm going to be sharing spiritual discernment. Everybody got discernment, but everybody ain't got spiritual discernment. So stay tuned to my videos. I got very interesting videos to share with y'all. Peace and love. Salute.